Welcome to ZenMadman versus Machine round 5. Let's go. Cutoff, 3-bet versus hijack, raise, and then call of the 3-bet. This is a pretty nice looking flop. Now we do actually check a fair amount of high boards, monotone boards back, I believe. But I think we can bet this hand. It's actually a pretty safe hand to have in a checking range. Usually on these high boards, we are using a smaller sizing, right? So we will go ahead and just let's use the small size. Yeah, it likes it. Half pot's good as well, right? With this hand, with our range, look at that. We're just range betting. All right, small card. I think we can keep betting for value. I don't think we necessarily want to go big. I think it's either going to be 3/4 or half pot. And I mean, the overbet seems a little weird here, so we'll go for that. It's actually a tiny bet. We actually want a tiny bet with this hand. With our range, this was actually a good sizing, right? With range, yes, 3/4 pot is fine. In fact, that's our preferred bet sizing. However, on with this, like this hand, just it's got a little bit of value. It's got very robust value, so I guess we want to play it a little differently. Let's just go to the next hand instead of replaying it, though. Yes, record definitely helps when recording a video. Thank you. King 10. So we're checking these boards, just pure. Mid board, we're kind of continuing a fair amount, right? We'll see what kind of sizing they use. Half pot. I don't think this would make a great raise as we're not blocking like 10-9 suited. I don't think they have King 9 suited here really to speak of. So, I mean, against this sizing, maybe we just fold. Calling is probably fine with the double backdoor. I don't know. Let's hit call. Yeah, it's, you know, I was indecisive. Solver's indecisive. It's like, yeah, just do some of one, some of another. Mostly a fold, though, right? Overall, the range is kind of what got me is we are supposed to continue 60% of range. And this felt like it might be one of the better hands in our range to continue. However, we are going to have a lot of pairs there. So, you know, that doesn't maybe need to be continued as much because we have pairs. Now this, you know, we didn't continue to pick up 0 equity and call a bet this size. They do barrel off with, well, they fire the second barrel anyway with their ace high. All right, these boards, I think actually we were checking a fair amount. This feels like a good bet though, because we are blocking King 10 suited and Jack 10 suited, right? So I think this is a fairly decent one. And what was it when we were betting, we were using, I think, the small size. So let's go for the small size. It doesn't like it, so this kind of doesn't line up with what I think our notes were. It wants to bet pretty often here though, so this board is kind of like range. So maybe I need to drill down further on that like ace xx, ace ace, jack jack, 10-10 board thing. That seems to have led me astray a little bit. All right, looks like a beautiful board for this hand. Higher boards, were they betting? They were using the smaller sizing mostly. I think we can probably bet range or close to range on this board. We want to use the smaller sizing. And yes, it is basically a range bet. On the turn now here, I think we could go for some like pretty large bet sizes. I'm gonna go 3/4. I think pot or like overbet just feels awkward with these stacks. So I'm gonna do this as I think this is more practical in-game bet size. And now the question is, when we whiff, how do we want to play it? Is this a hand that we're gonna jam? Do we want a diamond when we jam? I think this is gonna mix just give ups and jams. I have to think I would rather have a diamond, so I'm just gonna give up with this one. And it does agree with that. We are going to jam more than half the time, though. And so I would have to think if we have a diamond, we get to just like bomb it, right? And I wonder if I had chosen the larger bet size, which it looks like I could have gone full pot there, whether they would have folded this hand. Okay, next. Top pair, right? Okay, so first let's talk about the board texture. Always the texture first. This texture, I think we are going to bet fairly frequently, right? Maybe some checkbacks, but mostly betting, probably simplified to betting range for third pot. In general, for the larger sizings, I'm going to want a compelling reason, which is usually like it's a low board. On this, do we get to like keep betting top pair? I think we're probably going to mix checks and bets here. This is probably around the inflection point is my guess, where we can bet this some, but it might be a little overzealous to like bet it pure. Queen Jack, I think, is going to be probably like a pure check. Let's go ahead and check this back and see how the solver thinks. I wonder whether we would rather have a heart, because then we're protecting ourselves kind of, it's less likely we're going to lose, or whether we'd rather not have a heart, because then we can get action from, I think I'm changing my mind. I think I'm talking myself into going ahead and using this bet size. Yeah, it mostly wants to check it. Okay, so it's fine, but if we don't have a heart, then we can get value from hearts, and we're also defending against giving them like a free card. Whereas if we do have a heart, we're not as vulnerable, and there's fewer hands we can get value from, I think. So, or deny equity to. All right, I think my turn bet was ambitious, therefore a river bet would be over ambitious, and solver agrees. Pocket threes, though, we did get, I think, max value from that hand. I don't think we're getting more value than that. All right, deuce, deuce, seven, small trips, large bets, right? The deuce, deuce, I think we are betting pretty much pure. And so as pure, like maybe we don't want to go too big, but I'm gonna fire half pot. I think we could do half pot with close to range. Solver looks like it agrees. Basically, when you bet almost range for a certain size, and then you bet some of your range for a larger size, I think you can just simplify that to just bet everything for that size. All right, and they're supposed to fold sixes, so that's the power in just like range betting here. Is when we choose this size, the deuces are just like 2 bricks, right? So it's like it's like the flop came out with 1 card, but the card was 2 clubs. All right, ace 3-3. I do think this is a board, right, that we did a lot of checking on. This hand seems decent to bet in terms of we are going to deny a good amount of equity to a lot of their range has 2 overcards. So I'm going to go for the small bet, but I think we have a fair amount of checking here. That is off. It is. I mean, the small bet is fine, and they fold tens. So like, I guess we're just kind of bluffing, but we basically just want a range bet here on this. So again, I feel like I want to look at my note. Like it said, I thought ace XX have a good amount of checks. So maybe that's ace like 5-5, ace 8-8 or something. Although maybe we don't check this hand on ace 8-8. And when it's 2 3s or 2 2s on the board, since nobody has any of those trips, maybe those ones we get to just bomb off. So like that, the fact that it's the small trips supersedes the fact that it's an ace with trips. All right, here's going to be a mix of checking and oh no, it's not. We are out of position. Important to note which range we have. So we're the hijack. We raised, we called. We're pure checking this board, except not. Wow, there are some donks. There's not a lot of donks. I mean, overall, 11% of our range wants to bet there. So given that, I think just checking range is fine. Not finding that 11% of donks is not a big deal. For third pot, I do think we want to continue with middle pair. It's a little rough, though. Actually, we do want to continue, and this is a hand that we really want to turn into a bluff. I guess it makes a good semi-bluff in that, reasons. We can hit a 9, we can hit a 10. We're blocking one combo of 10-10 with a 10 of spades, I guess. I don't know. And maybe the other 10s, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting hand to have as a bluff. And then here, I think we just clearly fold when this comes out. They're betting full pot with their second nut flush. Makes some sense, as I'm only going to have so much like king X of spades, right? I don't have pocket kings. I've got a little ace king with a king of spades, and otherwise I would have had to flop a flush. And there's not that many available, actually, when they have the queen of spades. And here it checks to me. This is a board that we do a good amount of checking on. I think with a hand like this, I definitely get to throw out a bet. I'm going to use the small bet because I don't see a clear reason to do otherwise. Solver says this is actually a really good hand to check back. Okay. I guess, okay. I don't know. Maybe it makes good, like, delayed c-bets. Interesting. I'm a little surprised that, like, we have a gut shot straight flush draw, right? And we have 6 high. So it seems like lots of equity when called and no equity when checked. I mean, I guess we're beating 4 or 5 suited, which they can have a little, but yeah, kind of strange one there. All right, monotone board. I mean, maybe it's not a pure check, but I think we're going to check a lot. Yeah, this is a pure check, though. All right, Jack 8 deuce. I think like we get to fold a fair amount here, but yeah, Ace King. I think we just fold. I don't know. It's probably close between call and fold. Maybe we mix. It's mostly call, but we do mix. With the club, I mean, obviously we're continuing. I think we're probably raising a certain amount when we have a club, but yeah. All right. Again, now I'm like, are we donking more monotone boards than I thought? Like we donk so few boards overall. I kind of wasn't like expecting us to have that many donks, but yeah, they're gonna bet here. I don't think we fold with a spade, but like I'm kind of unsure. This might make a good check raise some of the time. I'm gonna put the call in, and we do continue pure with this. I imagine sixes without a spade. We fold pure. And the ace, I don't think, is a card we want to really be leading out here. Yes, we are going to have some ace high in our range, but it's not like turning top pair is suddenly this great victory on this board with 3 Broadway cards and 3 spades. Against this bet, I think we can fold, as yes, we have a flush draw, we're getting 4 to 1, but they're going to have a lot of larger flush draws that also have a pair. Our pair's not going to be good very often, so yeah, it looks like a pure fold there. And they did make a straight, okay. And then, yeah, Ace King 9. So this is the type of board that intuitively I think we can get bet large, but that might not be as true when we're in a 3-bet pot and we're going to be able to get stacks in regardless, right? We don't necessarily need to blow up the pot that way. I think this feels like a pretty good hand to check back unless we're betting range, which, you know, I think we can. We probably can simplify to betting range. This hand probably mixes. Pure bet, actually, pure bet. Interesting. A little bit surprised. I'm going to hit replay and kind of see, because I want to know when I have, you know, this pair, it was a 3rd pot bet, right? What are they doing with ace 10? And like, am I barreling? Am I barreling off to try and get them to fold ace 10? Now, I mean, obviously ace 10 here isn't really so much what I'm thinking of getting to fold, right? I think mostly I want a club if I want to bet this. Yeah, so we are checking this back here. So this run out doesn't really tell us all that much. And it looks like, actually, I think our fold didn't, I mean, our check back didn't cost us that much in EV. We go back and look, like the EV of checking and betting are pretty similar. I would say checking that turn against a person is pretty okay. I think this is going to mix call and fold. I mean, it's very small sizing, right? Quarter pot, so we're getting 5 to 1. Like, what are they peeling and then bluffing here? Like 9-8 of spades, king jack or something? Are they turning into a bluff? Do they have like queen 10, jack 10 that peeled, like of hearts, and then now wants to bluff, even though, or like kind of just block bet? I mean, maybe they can block bet with like a king jack. So maybe this is a call, even without a club. Okay, let's do it. It's, yeah, so it's basically EV neutral. It mostly wants to fold. Whatever. All right, we'll do a few more. Okay. I don't know it. Okay, so we are going to check this one, as this is just a board we're going to check. This feels like a card that we can bet a certain amount. Now remember, we did not have much queen 10 suited in our range. I think they actually have more queen 10 suited. But I do think we can bet here pretty often. Our pocket threes, like a hand we're going to bet. I mean, we're blocking like, they don't have ace 3 suited. So we are unblocking their folding range, we could say. I'm going to throw a bet out there. Let's see what happens. It likes it. It's cool with that. It's like, yeah, this is good for your range. Now, when the board comes out scary, am I going to barrel off? The deuce, again, I think I'm unblocking their folding range. However, I do have a pair. So they have a hand like ace 10, king 10, maybe some delayed hearts. Maybe I win some showdowns. I don't think this is the hand to turn into a bluff. Solver agrees. And yeah, they just have ace queen, so it was a straight draw. You know, I mean, it's important to remember, like, my turn bet was small enough that there's still hands that I beat in their range, so I do have some showdown value. Whereas if I had bet larger, then I almost think like I'm more committed to turning my hand into a bluff, as now their range has gotten stronger. I don't have any showdown value, but I've shown a certain amount of strength that I can like maybe power them off something. Here I think we're gonna mix calls and raises. I think both are fine. I think calling is kind of the more uncomfortable line, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. If I check raise, I think I just get to jam brick turns, is my guess. So let's maybe play this a variety of ways. It likes all the options on the flop. And then here, check, and am I going to jam turn? No, so they just checked it back. Think about different rivers, like on a 10, I mean, do I get to block bet, or do I just check? This feels like a very good bluff catcher, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Solver agrees. It actually wants to bet mostly half pot or check. So maybe we could have gotten value from that hand. Let's hit replay hand and see how this plays out if I check raise flop. So there was half pot and there was, I mean, I don't know if those are half pot and like third pot, but they are basically 3x and 4x more or less, right? So let's do the, actually literally, I think 3x and 4x. So we check raise to 3x. This yields a stack to pot ratio of 1.5 to 1, which is a little awkward, right? But I think if we go half pot, basically we can go half and get it in this spot. So we're gonna go half. Okay, half is fine, and they call, and then I think we just get to jam rivers. Not sure when that 10 comes out though. Do we get to jam this? Do we like block bet it? I mean, block bet's so weird with this much money back. Not even really. Let's just check it. And it does actually, with this combo, it looks like mostly want to jam, but checking is also fine. And the thing is, if I check and they jam, am I folding? Not really. So are we going to get a lot of bluffs? I don't know. We can probably get bluffs from like busted flush draws, right? There's 2 flush draws there. So, I mean, against a person, like, are they bluffing for half pot there? I don't think very often. So, I don't know. Shall we do one last hand for the road? All right, so 6s on this jack 5 deuce. We are checking this board pure. I think we might check raise this sometimes, and we're certainly not folding, I don't believe. I think for this size, maybe for the third pot, maybe we're doing some check raising. For this size, I think we are going to just call, and it's a pure fold. It's actually a pure fold. Let's see, we are folding this. I think we're continuing pure with 10s, and then like we want diamonds. So let's just look into this hand, and I think we can do that, right? Oh, we have to click here, show history, and then come down here, click on the error, and it'll show us how we play that whole spot. I think it's gonna be staggered. It's gonna be like a row of like, we're continuing some 6s with a diamond, 7s, 8s, 9s a little bit more, and then 10s like pure. Let's see. Okay, 10s are a pure continue. 6s continue with a diamond. 7s continue mostly with a diamond. 7s actually continue less than 6s, oddly. I guess 6s have a backdoor straight draw. That makes sense. 8s continue a little more than 7s, and 9s, now we actually start mixing in some of the ones, right, without even a diamond, but just very little. And then 10s are pure. And here's a wild thing, right? we're gonna say call, and then we're gonna make the turn like a 10 of hearts. And I think out of position might have some donks here. Let's take a look. Because I saw a hand like this. Yeah, look at this. Out of position strategy is to donk like half the time. And that's because the 10s were calling so much that they actually turned a fair amount of sets. Like if we look here, set is 17% of range, because pocket jacks also check called flop some, and check call and then donk is like a legit line with a set apparently. You know, at this SPR it makes some sense, and that's like a find, right? I think sometimes you see something and it pops out and it's like, okay, why is this happening? And the answer is, well, you're supposed to call 10s more than 6s, right? You're supposed to call 10s more than 9s, more than 8s, more than 7s. And because of that, when a kind of like, not a nothing looking card, but you wouldn't, I think most people wouldn't see this turn card and think, oh yeah, I'm a donk. You know, I'm going to donk this card a bunch. It's like, no, like really? But yes, we do. So that's just a little thing. I had a hand yesterday that I played, I think, or I was looking at. It was Queen 4-4. It was the day before. And, you know, I check call out of position. And then the turn's a jack. And apparently on the jack turn, I'm supposed to like lead range out of position after check calling flop. And I was like, what? And then I look in the solve, and the solve's like, yeah, you're supposed to check call jacks pure on that flop. You're supposed to have a lot of pocket jacks there. And pocket tens you fold some, and then nines you fold a little more, eights you fold a little more. That one didn't have this kind of straight draw texture. I do think it had a flush draw, but yeah, it's an unusual situation. So I think it's cool to see those things, and then put in, like, then yesterday I was like, okay, how about on Queen 6-6? Is it the same? Yes. Here on Jack 5 deuce, is it the same if the turn's a 10? And the answer is like, yeah. So that's just something to kind of put in there. And then sometimes when we're playing, we'll see it and go like, oh, I'm going to try this. Let's see how it works. And yeah, so anyway, that's it for ZenMadman versus Machine round 5. Tomorrow, I believe we will do round 6 and be looking at cutoff versus button, which is a spot, I think, with a little more fireworks, maybe a little wider ranges. So there might actually be less betting from in position. However, there might be more check raising from out of position and just kind of a little bit more dynamic struggles, right? These narrow range spots are, I think, like, okay, so you don't want to look at the results of the thing I was just doing, the trainer, and be like, oh, yesterday I think was like minus 0.34 and today's minus 0.06, and be like, I've clearly improved a ton. I don't think that's necessarily the case. But I do feel like I've improved, and I do feel like doing a similar spot 2 days in a row was very helpful. And I feel like the 3-bet pots are already making significantly more sense. And so given that there are like 15 of these spots, you know, we're basically going to be spending 2 weeks working on these. So I think that's going to be super helpful. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. Hit like and subscribe. Helps the channel out a ton. We're getting there to the point where I might just like mostly just do this, and that would be really fun. So yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.